Ah, yes. Pokemon games. The best way to kill some time on vacation. Yeah, one of my favorite things to do while killing time is some good old video games. Mainly Pokemon though, particularly for vacationing. But I never really ever made that much progress in whatever I played because, well, it's vacation. I have so many better things to do. But this year, 2 days before I left, an idea popped in my head. Could I beat a whole Pokemon game while on vacation? So that's what I decided to do. Let's get started. Now before I really get into anything, I have to say what I mean by vacation. To get to our destination, we need to drive about 2 to 4 hours near the bottom tip of New Jersey. The trip time obviously depends on different factors like traffic, so for both car rides and back, I decided to play the game because technically I'm still on vacation, I'm just not there yet or home yet. So I think that's fair game. Another way I want to lay down is the use of fast forward. I force myself to play through the entire game without it unless I'm dealing with sleep or grinding wild Pokemon for XP. And notice how I didn't say trainers, so I have to sit through every single one of those battles, even if they are insanely long and boring. But I think that's only fair because, let's be real, this wouldn't be a challenge if I sped through the entire game. And finally, I will mention that my vacation started on August 10th at 10:10 a.m. and ended on August 16th sometime after 1 p.m. After all, it would be stupid to trek something negative like that. So, let me dive into my adventure of Pokemon Violet and Red while on vacation. If you saw the intro gameplay, I think it's pretty obvious what I do from here. The second we left the house and got on the road, I immediately booted up the game and named myself Poke, and my rival JKR for whatever reason. Because if it wasn't obvious, I'm too lazy to think of something creative. I'm trying to speed through after the game after all. Now you might be expecting me to go with Bulbasaur for my starter for the sake of easy game, but I say fuck that, Squirtle Squad on top. And I happily never named him at all, even though I did that for every other team member. But no worries, there's only 2 names to remember due to me not even naming my Squirtle. Anyways, I beat my rival's ass, and then delivered the Oak's parcel and got my Pokedex. My adventure is on. I trudged through Viridian Forest, including this annoying battle with a wild Pikachu, before making it to Peter City, and it was pretty much already time to challenge Brock. My Squirtle was level 12, so I think you can imagine how this battle went. Yeah, he one-shotted both of his Pokemon. Nothing else to say. Now, after about 20 minutes, I finally reached Cerulean City and lost to my rival pretty easily due to his menacing Bulbasaur. And plus, it's a one-man army with 2 HM slaves and a fish I brought for no reason at all. But luckily for me, I never said jack shit about actual rules in the game, so after buying some awakenings and super potions, my turtle was able to slowly take down JKR's team. I said slowly, but the battle only wasn't even 3 minutes long. Anyways, I helped Bill Starry ass, and also caught a pivotal team member for this upcoming gym, E. the Irish, who became a Gloom thanks to some grinding against the trainers before Bill's, and Misty's gym trainers. In fact, she was level 21 by the time I took on Misty, and slowly beat her Starmie with Poison Powder and Absorb. Exactly 15 minutes later, I got to the SSN, and ignoring all of the trainers, and went straight for my rival fight against JKR, which took 5 entire minutes due to his Ivysaur. I had to use a Revive and some Awakenings to get past this thing, and also had to use E for putting the stupid thing to sleep. Besides that, the rest of his team wasn't all that bad to take down. After some Diglett grinding, I got the Surge and lost to him pretty easily because his Raichu kept spamming double team and I kept missing, so there wasn't much else I could do. But luckily, on attempt 2, I decided to catch a Diglett to help me. But guess what? I never used him because Eve somehow soloed the entire fight due to some better luck against Raichu. But by the time I could try to get anywhere in Erica's crazy split, our car ride came to an end. It wasn't until later that day I decided to slowly clear out Rocket Hideout before eventually reaching Giovanni around 6 p.m. His team was kinda easy besides his Kangaskhan, which gave me a run for my money. He killed my Wartortle pretty easily, but luckily I had E in the back, and thanks to some really shitty AI, E's Poison Powder and Absorb combo slowly chipped down this menacing dinosaur, whatever the fuck this thing is. After a nice cozy dinner, it was already time to fight my goddamn rival again. But luckily, I had a counter to his stupid Ivysaur, Efab the Growlithe, who was a pain in the ass to grind up. The other 2 have been easygoing, but man, Growlithe sucks, and I'm not even talking before this fight. It continued after this fight until I got to level 31 and decided to evolve it, due to it learning Flame Wheel at that level. Anyways, it ended up not being the Ivysaur being the problem. It was actually his Gyarados that ended up being the problem. You'd expect E to deal with it, but nope, she couldn't really do all that much. So I had to use this Gift Eevee from Celadon City that I evolved into a Jolteon, but guess what? Why would it learn an electric move? And I'm not wasting my Shockwave TM on him, so I had to slowly but surely get this kid's Gyarados off the field. Thankfully, due to confusion, it was a bit easier. Gosh, that guy's a menace. Whatever. That was the last of the Pokemon of the day, until I decided to do Erica's gym badge before heading to bed. And I don't think I need to show any battle elements, because obviously with Efab being an Arcanine now, Erica was a piece of cake. So that concludes the first day. Now, I played around for 6 hours, but remember that includes some fast forward, but it probably doesn't even add to that much in the grand scheme of things. So I think it's pretty spot on. This isn't surprising to me. The first day of vacation is always a bit uneventful because you gotta settle in and stuff like that. So yeah, on to day 2. Alright, this is where my progress should slow down, right? Well, little did I know just how much free time I would have today. Throughout this day, up until 4:30 I assume, I was doing Silph-Co. I know that's because I remember spending so long just fighting Rocket Grunts because I wanted that juicy XP. In this process, I got Vileplume and Blastoise, and the screenshot of Blastoise's evolution was taken at like 2, so I guess that confirms my theory. But eventually, I was satisfied with my grind and fought JKR yet again. This video is just really all of the rival fights, plus briefly mentioning gym leaders and plot aside from Surge. So, that's pretty interesting. But thankfully, this was an easy fight. Blastoise takes down Pidgeot. Efab cooked alive his Venusaur. I put his Gyarados to sleep with the Snorlax I caught before E killed it even after his Growlithe came out for some reason, which then led to Blastoise finishing off the Gyarados. And then his Alakazam was surprisingly easy to take down thanks to Efab, so shoutouts. Giovanni at the top of the Silph-Co was also pretty free. Blastoise cleanly slept his team besides Dinarino, who Efab took out with some digs. Yeah, even his Kangaskhan was way easier. But now I have the Master Ball, so try to take a guess of what I'm plotting up after my 5th badge. Yeah, I know, it's pretty weird that you saw me doing Silph-Co stuff before Koga, but that's because his team is pretty high-leveled for some reason, and because him and Sabrina actually have the same level cap, which I always found stupid, but whatever. Doesn't affect me because this isn't a Nuzlocke, but I still think that's relevant information. Anyways, this fight was actually pretty easy, besides his stupid muck that used his potions, and even one of mine. Besides that, Blastoise just kinda owned everything, despite having no super effective moves at him at all. I think most of you Pokemon players expected this. With Surf now being accessible in the overworld, I went straight back to Route 10 and caught my Zapdos. Yeah. No worries, I won't use him until the end of the game, but just keep in mind he's there. And plus, it's really funny that I casually have this guy with 5 badges. Anyways, it's time for one of the most feared women in Pokemon history, Sabrina. But luckily, I had a cheeky plan. Efab took care of her entire team, but Venomoth, because that was a struggle for some reason, due to my shitty confusion luck. I planned to have Efab do some more to our Alakazam, but I knew I had to do this even before I started this challenge. Because if you remember Alpharad's Nuzlocke, you know exactly what's coming. By using my Lapras to tank a Psychic, I decided to use Perish Song. But now that Kek's down at 17 HP, I think it's time she dies, right? Well, Alakazam decided to waste his turn using a Future Sight, allowing Confuse Ray to connect, and then on the next turn, he hit himself as I swapped Kek out. That was probably one of the funniest interactions with a gym leader's ace I've ever had, so yeah. After that win, I didn't play the game for a bit, before heading to Cinnabar Island, finding out that Aerodactyl was completely useless due to him being level 5, and did the Pokemon Mansion, which took a lot shorter than I remembered, before taking a silly quiz and beating Blaine's ass with my turtle. We love Radiant Sweep. And then, after flying back to Viridian and doing some gym trainers, Giovanni also got an ass whooping later in the night, in the time before I went to bed. 8 badges in hand, and I still had some steam left in me. So I decided to do something really dubious. I decided to do JKR's second to last fight and get started in Victory Road. And this was a long affair actually, taking over 8 minutes. Pidgeotto was washed away, but then this guy actually outsmarted me. As I was taking down his Venusaur, he surprisingly spotted to his Rhyhorn, so I had to swap back to his Blastoise to take him out. But then, just when I thought I could actually get the finishing blow on a Venusaur, he did the same thing again and pivoted to his Gyarados. But even though I had Zapdos right there, and I actually sent him out to bait out a ground move out of Rhydon into Blastoise, I decided to just use E instead, even though she was only level 35. But surprisingly, she was able to handle the Gyarados, slowly but surely. Well, actually I lied, I just read my script wrong. It was actually Blastoise that got the finishing kill on this Gyarados, so my bad. His Venusaur finally fucking died, and his Growlithe that followed wasn't much of an issue either. His Alakazam this time around was actually a threat. I tried finishing him with Blastoise and EFAB, but they were just shy of the kill due to JKR's potion, and Lapras couldn't pull any BS this time. Luckily, Snorlax was able to finish it off, which I find hilarious. Like I said earlier, I did some of Victory Road before hitting the hay, ending day 2 with a playtime of up to over 9 hours now. Wow. But now, instead of finishing the game on day 3, I decided to do my league grinding in Victory Road throughout the week and made some final preparations, like buying Flamethrower for EFAB and potions, and then doing my league run on the car ride back to home on day 7. Yeah, if it wasn't clear, this was my plan from the start. Sleep through the game on the first 2 days, relax and give myself the options to do random shit in my free time. Obviously, this didn't take away from my vacation. If anything, I'm happy I did this because it was a fun time. It was some fun filler for the first 2 games, but sometimes you just want to do some other random garbage besides just Pokemon Fire Red. But now, with a team of 3 beasts and 3 bench warmers, because I didn't feel like grinding up E, I walked through the doors of the Pokemon League, and it was time for the challenge. Here we go. First up was Lorelei. Zapdos handled her first 2 Pokemon pretty easily, but he was kinda weak by the time Solbro fell, so I subbed him out. I did this against her ace Lapras, so I just sent out my Blastoise, hoping that he can do something, but he couldn't really do much with his Earthquakes, because they just did not do any damage. But that chip was all I needed to secure victory, because Zapdos came right in and took the kill with the Shockwave. The rest of the fight from this point onwards is pretty easy. Her last 2 mons are pretty pathetic. Jinx got metted by EFAB, and Cloyster got one-shotted by Zapdos somehow. Bruno is Bruno, so I don't think I need to really explain myself here. Zapdos owned 2 of his fighting types before falling just short of the match of Machamp, and then the rest of my team, despite slowly dying, was able to easily win. Yeah, that's right, Bruno did pick up more bodies than Lorelei, but that's because I was playing more carelessly because it's fucking Bruno. Agatha was next, and oh my god, this was miserable. Her Gengar was just absolute pain. She just spammed double team, as my Blastoise couldn't do much against it besides Rain Dance and hope my Surf connected. Eventually, with the heal in the process, I did enough damage for me to go to EFAB, who instantly connected and took out the Gengar. But that whole ordeal took up a third of the fight on its own. I had a quick little break against Golbat and Arbok, but even Arbok took a kill against Blastoise, so that was pretty shocking. But then, unknown to me, her second Gengar came out. Oh my gosh. And guess what? This was debatably worse because she just spammed Hypnosis and never seemed to miss. And also took down EFAB in the process with some insane Sludge Bomb damage and also Zapdos. But luckily he did big damage, so Gengar wasn't low enough for me to kill it. But first, I had to bring Blastoise back to life, so in came Snorlax to buy me 2 turns, heal him back up, and finish off the Gengar. And also the Haunter in the back, which I had to waste another Awakening on. Oh my gosh, fuck you, Agatha. Lance was right in front of me, and this battle scared the shit out of me. So let's hope I somehow win this. Zapdos obliterated Gyarados, and despite its weak matchup, his Aerodactyl actually gave me a run for his money. Dragonair came in, and I tried to kill it with a Blizzard, but ultimately failed, leading to Blastoise's temporarily death. But luckily, Zapdos finished him off with a Fly. His other Dragonair came in and was handled by Zapdos for the most part, but with Lance healing it, once I got it low, Zapdos ended up being below half by the time I took the kill on it. But does it look like I have anything better against Dragonite? So I left my Zapdos in, and he did pathetic damage with a Shockwave before inevitably dying. Are we serious? EFAB tried to be the hero and actually did some good damage with some bite flinches and just biting in general, before unfortunately succumbing to the powerful dragon. At this point, I just had to hope and pray my starter could clutch up with an insane Blizzard hit. So with Keck's sacrifice, I max revived Blastoise to roll the dice. I sent down my Blastoise, clicked Blizzard, and of course he connected. My starter had to clutch up by hitting the 70% accurate move and saving my ass. I wish I recorded my microphone because I was ecstatic as hell when this happened, and led to my brother mimicking me because, well, he's my brother. Anyways, with the Elite Four down, there was nothing left to do but fight the final battle against JKR, who was now crowned the strongest trainer ever. But I sure as hell wasn't letting this menace have that crown for long. He led with his Pidgeot, but got shocked away by Zapdos, even with the accuracy drop. Never mind, I was using Shockwave, which never misses, I'm stupid. Luckily for me, his next Pokemon up was Rhydon, and he's kinda Rhydon, and I just sent out my Blastoise, so Surf! Bye-bye. Venusaur came out, and despite being 13 levels under, EFAB kinda owned him by melting him with 2 flamethrowers. Surprisingly, JKR didn't pull the same shit he did in his last battle by actually using some smart switch tech, but you do you, JKR. Gyarados came in, and this was a debacle. Zapdos easily, slowly but surely beat him down, because he just kept barely surviving my hits, and then JKR just spammed all of his heals on him. I managed to get him down low twice before unfortunately falling, so Zapdos came in and barely stayed alive to finish him off. But who else but my starter Blastoise to come in against his final Pokemon, Arcanine. He tanked 2 E-Speeds like a beast before washing away his final Pokemon and making me the Cantonian champion and ending the run. That was fun as hell. I'm happy I finally got around to playing these games. I gotten up to Blaine's gym in 7th grade, but lost my save due to my school computer breaking, and obviously they wiped the data off to that 07 to that save. And sure, it was a bit unethical to win this way, but I think it led to an even more fun experience, because I always play with a full team of 6, but this time I only used 4, with Zapdos being not even being used until the end game, and E not seeing much use past Erica. This took around 11 hours of playtime, but definitely put an asterisk on that due to fast forwarding, mainly because of the victory road grinding. So, can I beat a Pokemon game while on vacation? Hell yeah. And I can even do it even if I didn't use car rides to play the game, because I guarantee I would have beaten the game. I think that's pretty much proven by my day 2 progress. I was expecting this to be much harder due to XP grinding and things like that, but that actually wasn't a problem at all, meaning I was able to cruise through the game at a nice pace. But this will definitely be an experience to remember, and who knows, maybe I'll try a longer game to beat next year. Anyways, that's the end. Thanks for watching. Peace. Just kidding, look at me and the homies in the Hall of Fame. Just ignore the 2 on the bottom, besides E, obviously. Yeah! On the go. Thanks for watching. Peace.